Testing. All right.
Welcome back to the Five Live Bears podcast. We are hoping you're having a wonderful evening because we are having the best of evenings
It's
possible.
been amazing.
I mean, we've cleaned up vomit. I mean, what else can you
night.
have on a
We
Friday
had some
night?
vomit cleanup.
Been a night. Real quick, if you're familiar with the format, we record 2 in one night. In between our recordings tonight, Brian's daughter christened the hole upstairs with vomit.
I was expecting Charlie to jump in with like pro tips on how to clean up the vomit, but
Yeah,
he
he's
just
thought about
he
it.
was
I
like
thought
gone,
about
like he disappeared
No.
like
So,
John did down the
I thought a great way to start off the show was everybody with their favorite vomit story.
Oh, I can do that. All
All right, John's got a vomit story.
The only reason I didn't
Oh,
jump
by the
in,
way, welcome to the podcast.
Brian, the only reason I didn't jump in because I didn't want to embarrass her. That's the only rean I didn't jump in there.
She
to
puked
clean
in
up.
front of everybody. It's kind of hard to
Well, I
top
was
that.
in the
room. I was
Well,
in
you
the
were
room.
gone.
She didn't puke in front of me.
You were gone.
John, favorite
She was
vomit
probably like
story?
in the middle of it, and she was like, "John, leave,
Yeah.
leave me, John."
As soon
Are we
as- soon as
really going to lead with favorite vomit
as soon
stories?
as John heard, as soon as John heard puking, he was like, "Boom, gone!" Like the door, like you heard the door slam, and you're like, "Where did John go?"
I slid down the banister
You
in the
didn't hear,
basement.
you didn't hear him run down the stairs or anything. He touched the top stair and the bottom stair. It was.
I went in there and hit that little. I had that bust of Shakespeare in the bedroom. I pushed the hit up, hit the button, and like,
Just
the
drive your
door.
head in.
I went down the pole.
Nice.
Yeah, that's what I did.
Nice.
So
That's good stuff.
I know the most important thing to Tim this week was Walking Dead. So go ahead.
Oh,
and,
so we're
talk
not
about
going to
that.
do vomits?
No,
No.
we're not
Well,
doing vomit
There was
stories.
this one time when
yeah.
I
No, we're not doing vomit stories.
Are you sure? We
Move
can do
on. Tim, Walking Dead.
Save your pirate house story for later.
Oh, Aaron.
It. I knew that was coming
World
up.
famous Pirate House restaurant, South Carolina. Projectile vomit on the walls.
Fantastic.
So
Let's
good. I'm sorry.
Walking Dead.
go. Speaking of projectile vomiting,
Oh, come on now. We had the mid-season premiere. It's been about 2 weeks ago now. At the time of actually this airing. So spoiler alert. At the end of the mid-season, we found out that Carl had been bit and was destined to die. So the episode starts off with Carl realizing he's been bit, and for as much crap as I give the show started off and it did a really good music montage with John said it was Bob Dylan's Forever Young. And so it's a nice touching moment of Carl realizing he's dying. He does some, like, he's setting his life, he's setting everything in place for his death, so that he has moments with his sister, so that he has moments with everybody else, that he has letters. And it's just really well done, and it's really self-reflective and makes you look on the inside and think, you know, if I knew I was dying,
If I got bit by a zombie,
yeah, what would I do to put my life in order? So that was really good, and then the rest of the episode was a typical terrible Walking Dead episode.
so did Carl have to put himself down?
He did. He
He
did put himself down.
yes.
Oh wow,
He
that kid is hardcore.
he was hardcore till the end, man.
Put his mom down. Put himself down.
Yeah.
And he would have
So
put Rick down if he could have.
how old is Carl?
He almost did put Rick down.
Mm-hmm.
he should have put Rick down.
In,
In that episode when Rick was so sick,
Yeah,
or
right
knocked
after
out
after the fight with Governor.
Yeah.
He about took him out after he ate the big thing of pudding and puked. Okay, that's a puke story. See, it's a
Yeah.
vomit story.
Vomit. I mean,
Wow.
that's
what
what
we're
you
gonna-
get for eating that much pudding.
Oh my gosh!
What was
Yeah,
like a
man.
5-gallon
Well,
drum?
and you got to think they haven't probably had anything that sweet in 2 years now or whatever out there in South Georgia or wherever they are, and then finds that pudding and eats it all.
Yeah,
I mean,
Who ate the pudding?
he prob-
Carl eats a
Aaron ate the pudding.
Carl eats a 5-gallon bucket full of
chocolate
pudding.
You know he
like
did.
a Sam's Club special.
You know he didn't just puke. He had
Projectile.
pudding squirt.
No. Come
Can we
on,
can we
Tim.
tell pudding squirt stories too? While we're here tonight?
Yeah. You
Brian,
gotta-
There was this one time.
This whole episode is now going to become vomit and pudding squirts.
Hey, Brian, did you watch Walking Dead this week?
I did not. I have not
John
watched it.
it.
I watched it.
Yeah, but John's also talking about pudding squirt, so I'm trying to get off that subject.
No,
was
unfortunately, Charlie, I have
was
not.
this
I've lost
one
interest
time.
since the
Yeah.
CGI tiger ate
When,
the specific person.
Well, it's a heat-seeking tiger.
So no, the tiger's
He's
dead.
seeking time.
Tiger's dead, guys.
No, I watched it and I don't have as horrible things to say about it as Tim does.
Imagine that.
Because the Carl scene at the beginning was good. It was very interesting the way they put it together. But The Walking Dead's always had, even since the beginning, they've had good musical montages from every once in a while. The first season, they had some really good ones. This is one of the best ones I've seen in a long time. And it didn't really, I mean, you know, at this point in time, you're so desensitized to the show.
Right.
It didn't really pull at my heartstrings or anything. It's just like, yeah, okay, Carl's going to die.
That's what I said. That's what I was thinking. Like I was more moved by Carl putting his life in order than I was Rick watching his son die.
I didn't care one thing about
and, like,
Rick.
I'll cry at like Tide commercials or something.
Well, and the part about it that gets me about the whole
Because
thing
you're hungry for Tide Pods.
is everything
it's a Tide ad.
everything in Rick's plan to destroy Negan was working well until Daryl screws it up by running the Trump truck or the garbage truck through the building.
I thought you said Trump truck. I'm like,
The
really?
Trump truck would have
Yeah.
been awesome.
Make America
That'd been
Non-zombie
awesome.
zombie again.
But he did that, and then it's just like nobody ever mentions anything about it.
Daryl's
at
an
this point.
idiot on this show. I
And
gotta
he's
tell you.
like, Sorry, Rick.
Daryl got Glenn killed
yeah.
because he had to go punch somebody. It's just Daryl's the worst.
But
Not to
then
mention he will not change his clothes. Like they're in a new place with new clothes everywhere. He just refuses to change his clothes.
okay, and that's my thing. That's one of my gripes about The Walking Dead is why do they all wear the same clothes all the time? You know, there's ample amounts of clothes laying around everywhere. I mean,
Everywhere.
did
Like
every
at this point, if Daryl were to take his pants off, those pants would walk by themselves around. I mean,
climb on a motorcycle?
like I'm surprised he can like sit down. Like the pants probably like crack as he
Wet
sits down.
jeans.
the wet jeans. Well, but then
Good
they go
callback,
in.
Aaron.
But then they keep going into this secondary story on there with the King and Morgan and Carol running around, and one of Negan's lieutenants. I can't remember his name. It's insignificant.
Jesus?
No, it ain't Jesus.
Jesus is a good guy.
He's a good guy.
Come on, man.
And
Is a good guy.
they got this monologue going on between King. What's his name?
Ezekiel.
King Ezekiel and Larry from Negan's group. And it's like, I don't have to do this, Ezekiel. And he's like, you must learn to walk your own path. And
Right? Oh my gosh, I forgot about that part.
the story that you have written can be rewritten.
It could be rewritten.
Yeah. And I was like, oh my goodness. And then Morgan comes in and starts killing people. I mean, like left and
Morgan's
right.
like the Terminator all
And,
of a
like,
sudden.
He's like, murder. He's going to kill everybody. And Carol's like, no, stop.
He's
And
got a
like,
crane's cane, and he's just annihilating people. He sharpened the end of it, and he took the knob off.
Now,
and
now
started-
one of the
Oh.
in this set of him going crazy, I will have to admit that one of the nastiest death scenes I have ever seen in any show takes place inside the auditorium. They finally get King Ezekiel into the auditorium, and Morgan and Carol are kicking butt and taking names, and Ezekiel's laying on the floor, and Larry, the guy with the gun, is shooting, and Morgan gets a hold of one of Larry's henchmen. All right, and they're struggling on the stage, and he's got Morgan down. He's beating the crap out of his face, and all of a sudden Morgan looks up, and the dude somehow his side was busted. I guess he'd been shot.
Oh, yeah.
He'd been shot in the side.
Just ripped up in there.
And he shoves his hand into the guy's side, and the guy's like,
And then he just pulls his guts out.
No.
And
Yeah.
then they pan out, and Larry is sitting there on the floor watching all this, and Morgan's like,
That was the actual sound effect too.
he said, and pulls the guy's guts out of his body, and Larry's like, holy crap!
It
And he
was
tries
like-
to run, and
It
he's
was
got
like
shot in the
something you
leg.
saw out of an old like Toxic Avenger movie. I mean,
Nice.
it was a trauma movie type scene.
Aaron, did you see that?
No, I quit watching it.
What before that point, or
No,
you just all the?
he quit watching at the.
Oh no, I got to
mid-season.
keep going now because
Once Carl was bit, I was out.
And so, speaking of Carl getting bit,
real quick. So when he pulled the guts out, was he squeezing them?
no, he just squeezed him. He's like, he pulls him out, and he's like, ah, and Larry's like, oh my gosh, and he goes running down the aisle, and Morgan's like, shooting at him, but the guy gets away. And then it goes on from there. Then we go back because I was like, "Holy cow, I'm buying into this again." And then we go back and Rick's like, "Carl,
Rick's sitting there, teary-eyed, red-eyed, teary-eyed, every ounce of hair on his face and head drenching with sweat. I mean, just like dripping.
I tell you,
And Carl got bit and proceeded to take 3 days to die. It was the longest zombie death scene.
I mean it. I was just like, "Holy cow!"
Just
If,
killed
I
us.
better tell you, if you need anybody in a show or a movie to get red eyes really quick, Andrew Lincoln is the man. I mean,
it, man.
he must just
Got
like
it.
he must just been like rubbing his eyes for like
The
for an
whole
hour.
second episode. I don't know if you said you haven't watched it yet. The whole second episode, he's red eyed. The whole second episode.
And he does that thing where he looks around. He's like,
So,
"We're
I know that three of us in this podcast don't watch the show, but let me ask you guys this question. I saw an article online that next season they're going to allow them to have nude zombies.
what?
what?
Yeah,
Yeah, I saw
yeah,
that article.
they're gonna.
Is that like Klingons?
Aaron's back in. New zombies.
Woo, doggies. But yeah, they're going to be able to have a nude female zombie in the next season, so they're all about that.
Yeah, and they're supposed to allow Negan one F-bomb or something
Oh.
this season. I don't know.
Well, whatever. I mean, it's
cares?
just. I mean,
You don't have to have extreme stuff on television to make it a good program.
Well-
That shows you how far the show's dropped.
Well,
that's
and
what we're
that's
excited
the
about.
thing about it is that like I have to agree with Brian on this, is that when you have to start going to that type of gimmick, then it's not worth watching anymore, right? Because it becomes gimmick laden. It has jumped the shark, so to speak.
Aaron, didn't you say that the ratings are now the lowest they've been since season 1?
For mid-season premieres, it was the lowest since season 1.
Yeah.
Well, the show's got to be running out of steam.
The thing of it is, the comic book storyline
Is awesome.
is really good, and like it was all written out for him. And granted, there were a couple things you couldn't do on TV, although AMC's given them a ton of space, and they just took it and were like they were like Ryan Johnson with The Last Jedi, and was like, well, that's all a lot of great ideas, but
I got my own.
let me and do my own
I'm
stuff.
going to squeeze out my own
Let me
script.
squeeze it. I
this
got to
out.
squeeze out my own script.
That's one of my problems with Walking Dead is every once in a while you'll an episode start, you go, oh no, it's gonna be one of the artsy fartsy episodes. So you could just tell the camera's real slow and showing everybody's faces real slow. And you're like, oh.
So in
It's one of
this,
those
so you
episodes.
guys, neither of you guys have watched the second episode for the mid-season yet. This episode literally starts with a black screen with white words that says Michonne, and it shows a little bit about Michonne, and then it comes back from a commercial break, and it's like black screen, white words, Simon, and it talks about Simon, and so it literally, I'm like, what? This is Walking Dead about zombies.
Well, but
Like
that
the student film all of a sudden.
Yeah,
or something.
Yeah.
It's just,
well, I haven't seen it yet, but that breaks from a lot of things that they've always done in that, which was a continuous story narrative, which made, and I know season 1 was kind of iffy, but really season 1 through, okay, I'll just take it up to the point that they lose the prison.
yeah.
That was an incredibly well put together narrative story. I mean, it followed
that
logic.
that followed the comics pretty closely.
And then after that, it just seems like when they decided to hook up with Abraham and
Yeah.
and
Your
Mullet.
boy, Eugene, your boy.
Eugene, yeah, then it just kind of started falling off the rails. And this season, I've watched it because I've decided I'm going to continue to watch this up to its logical conclusion. I mean, whatever that conclusion is, I'm going to watch it because I started watching it night 1 way back in the day. I mean,
I was
one
so
of those-
hyped for Walking Dead when it first started.
Well, and that's what I pride myself on being one of them original fans of the show who watched it very from the beginning and didn't jump on the coattails of it 5 seasons in or 3 seasons in and go back and watch it all. Sorry, that's my opinion.
Well,
you
now that-
zombie coat-tellers.
So, away from something that not all of us agree on to something that we all agree on, how much we love Guardians of the Galaxy. The big news came out last week that Baby Groot is not a reincarnation of Groot, but Groot's son. Tim's side. So let's go ahead and get
Aaron-
what he has to say about it.
Aaron, so kind of explain it all from how it all came to be.
There was a Twitter question about if you had to choose which one would die, who would you pick? It was like Baby Groot or a Porg, and James Gunn was like, "Oh, I guess the Porg," and they were like, "Well, why did you pick Baby Groot? He could just regrow." And he's like, "Oh no, Groot's dead, and Baby Groot's his son." And everyone's like, "What?"
Right.
And so like everybody freaked out.
He said that Baby Groot has no memories of Guardians of the Galaxy 1. He is
He's
like
a whole new being.
a whole new being,
Mm-hmm.
and like I just can't handle it.
Why?
Because it destroys the bonds. I don't know. I don't know.
It totally changes the first movie now, because now you're like, "Oh crap, Groot just died,"
Right.
You know, and you didn't have that emotional impact the first time you saw it because you're like, "Oh, he regrew, we're good. He's dancing to Michael Jackson, we're good," and then that's not the case now.
No, man. Yeah. So, Baby Groot is actually son of Groot, and I can't handle it. My simple brain, in my mind, he's still Groot reincarnated.
As the biggest Groot lover in the room, Brian, what's your take on this?
I'm with Tim on this. It completely changed the whole movie for me. I was like, what? I thought the whole point of, like, it was almost like he got another chance because he sacrificed himself in the first one. And then to see, like, no, that's his son now, but he has no memory of him. It's like, that's like a double whammy. It's like, not only does he not remember anything from Guardians 1, he doesn't even remember, he has to listen to these stories of how his dad now saved them.
Yeah.
It's like he was
Yeah.
born out of love or something like that.
Not only that, but like, does that mean that there were like about 47 other son of Groots on the ground, and Rocket just happened to pick up one random one, and the rest of them just died off because nobody took care of them?
Yes.
Wow.
I think the total number was 4 billion.
Yeah.
Groots,
there
only one
there were
survived.
sons of Groots everywhere, and
There's an
Rocket just picked up one of them.
There's an evil Groot that's going to fight alongside
Shut
Thanos
up.
in the next one.
Shut your dirty mouth.
That's
But
an
the funny
iPad.
It's going to be on
thing is,
Thanos' shoulder like a little walking stick animal.
what happens is when you punch real Groot, the other Groot feels it, kind of like Zaymot and Tomax.
Oh, jeez.
Nice.
John,
Shut your
John,
dirty mouth.
are you as upset?
No,
as,
John's gonna be like, oh, grr. It's just a twig. It's gonna be freaking Yondu on the
Why
couch.
John Yondu?
I don't care.
I don't. I mean, I'll just say
I'm
it.
with
I
you,
don't
John.
care.
I don't care.
It doesn't
matter.
change anything for me. I didn't. I liked Guardians of the Galaxy. I made the assumption.
Did you hear how you just said that? I liked Guardians of the Galaxy.
I did.
That's the same way you said Last Jedi and
Yeah,
Justice League.
yeah.
Get off my back.
I'm just telling you,
And,
John.
and all of a sudden, you suddenly hate Guardians of the
I didn't
Galaxy
say
too.
I hated
See,
Guardians
yeah,
of the
yeah.
Galaxy
We-
2.
You need to watch it this week. So
That's
you
your-
like it again.
Yeah,
you talk
you
about
got-
my dumpster fire
gotta
with
get-
smoldering
you gotta
pile of trash. Yours
Johnny's
is like,
in-
I like it. I like it. I like it. It's terrible. Like that's your rating scale.
John needs a new dose of Guardians 2 to like it again.
Yeah.
I didn't say I didn't like
Worn
it.
off.
Y'all didn't let me finish. Y'all jumped on top of
You
me.
put it in the same category as the other movies.
What?
It's just a stupid twig.
I didn't say
I
that.
liked Guardians 1. I didn't say I
John
loved
said
it.
that Black Panther was better than Guardians 2.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, I did not say that. No, in all
Shut up, Aaron.
in reality, I don't.
Black Panther love.
It didn't matter to me. I made the assumption that it wasn't Groot anyway. I just kind of made that assumption that okay, they never. What? I did. I thought well,
Did not.
I didn't.
You're going full Aaron on us right now.
I'm a super intellectual,
You didn't
and I knew that.
realize the Black Panther was a week after Civil War? Everybody knew that. No, we didn't, Aaron.
And you never mentioned it when we did the podcast on it.
You just said you would play. You never go play.
Do what?
From Tropic Thunder.
You never go play.
I don't.
But John's like, John just said, oh, I always thought it wasn't Groot.
I didn't.
No, you did.
I never cared. It was never one of these things that really passed into my.
Baby
oh,
Groot
man,
is
it's-
one of the most iconic characters of our lifetime.
it's Baby Groot.
It's more
I was
important
assuming
than Yoda
that-
and Carl combined.
It's still real to me.
All right, whatever.
It's too soon. It's too soon.
Y'all
I'm
just-
sorry, John. Go ahead.
I wouldn't have cared if they'd taken him,
You just don't
doused him with gasoline.
don't you
Don't you do
I'm
it.
going to do
Don't.
it. I'm going to say it.
don't.
And then
I made a
used-
s'more out of him. What are you talking about?
and then used him to keep them warm. They could have piled him inside a 50-gallon drum.
And as he slowly burned, he was like,
I am Groot.
What if they made Yondu's arrow out of a non-surviving Groot?
"Ooh,
I can dig that.
What if they made him out of a surviving Groot?"
So he's a sentient
So he's like-
rocket. That's why he
And
can.
he's like, "Groot, Groot, 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 Groot."
If you slow it down, that's what he's saying is Groot. Groot.
Guardians of the Galaxy 2, I liked Baby Groot. I thought he was great. I liked Groot in the first movie.
He just liked. Baby
but
Groot.
I don't know. I guess it never occurred to me to really worry about whether or not it was him or his kid. Okay, it was just like, all right.
I know,
yeah.
but like I just assumed it was him. Like I had no reason.
Yeah, but is that just James Guinn pulling something out of his butt?
It probably is. But
I was
like I
like,
had
"Oh."
no reason to believe it wasn't him.
That's just like metachlorines with George Lucas. Hey, guess what? I can do this because now it's hindsight. You know, that's
Well, no, But if you watch that scene where he says "We are Groot" and then they crash, it's certainly set up as a death scene. So I think he did have it planned, and he just assumed, oh yeah, the audience knew what I was doing, and it just didn't come across in the movie.
well, but that's
Well, probably because there's no difference in their appearance.
And probably because nobody really knows how the reproduction of Groots occur. We just don't realize that if you
We
pick
didn't
up,
get that.
if
We didn't get
if
that
you
origin
pick,
story.
If you pick up a
Groot.
twig, then
see,
you got his son.
That's a deleted scene.
You can just walk past any Groot, snap off a twig. I got a son of Groot right here.
In the deleted
Yoda
scenes. The
song.
Nova Corps has a health class, and they talk about
Do
how
they?
Groots are
John
made.
C. Riley
Yes.
leads it.
That would be-
All right,
Now,
Claudius.
This
I can
is
watch
this is
that.
not a subject that we've discussed, but I'm going to. I really hope John C. Riley becomes Nova. I know he's not
He's
going to,
not going
but that would be so awesome if he becomes Nova.
Well,
they
and
would
they,
never do that.
and they make it like Deadpool. They
Overweight
make it a
Nova.
comedy.
No, they wouldn't do that.
They
The
wouldn't. but it'd be-
the character
I get
he's
what you're
playing
saying.
is the one who trains Nova how to be a Nova. So I could see him having powers and crashing into things and being all kinds of goofy.
So he's a Nova teacher.
Yeah, I mean I'm assuming at some point the Nova Corps will get the ability to fly and stuff, and like in the comics.
All right, guys, we're going to get into some more topics here in just a moment. We are going to take a quick break. Stay tuned. Don't touch that dial. Let me see what other old phrases I can say.
Same bad channel, same bad time.
Today's podcast.
Fill us in on some Star Wars news for this week.
I can go two ways. I can talk about the Star Wars novelization or Rebels. So
I
we
want to
haven't
hear.
talked about
I want to hear the novelization.
Let's do the novelization.
Let's get
Okay,
full
so-
nerdy.
Last Jedi novelization came out and it revealed some stuff.
Did
First
the
off,
novelization contain a scene where Kylo was shirtless?
Yeah, there's like several pages. No, I don't know. The book
That
opens
is
with a dream
centerfold.
sequence
Do I?
of the book opens with a dream sequence of Luke's life if he had never.
Hold on a second, Aaron.
Obi-Wan. Yeah.
I never hit record.
Charlie never started recording this. I didn't think he did, but
son of a.
Okay.
You bleep blop.
Yeah, exactly. 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to Five Line Bears, where we've been talking for 10 minutes and I didn't push the record button.
Son of a Groot.
Aaron, go ahead and reset
Let's
everything.
talk
you just
some
said.
vomit.
Go ahead and.
there was this one time when I was in Gatlinburg.
Okay, no.
And your
Aaron,
gallbladder acted up, and you just like hurled
Star
everywhere.
Wars
with
No,
novelization.
better.
that was an entirely different story. That's a squirt story.
Pudd's words.
Like the
There's
soft
story
drink?
about
Yeah.
these two cows.
Like splashback.
Splashback. No, there was no
Do
splashback.
what, Aaron?
These two cows and one was sick and never mind. Anyhow,
What are you talking about?
That's the Star Wars novel.
Is this a Texas thing?
yeah, there's two cows and
You know
Never
what,
mind.
what they say about Texas? Every story is bigger than Texas.
yeah.
Yep, go ahead. Star Wars. I was trying to kill
So-
it so we could go on.
Oh, it's killed.
Oh, it's
Last
killed.
Jedi.
Okay.
Killed it.
The Last Jedi, we had the novelization come out, we had the lead scene come out. So we'll talk about the novelization first. The book opens with a dream sequence of Luke's life if he had never went with Obi-Wan. about him living on Tatooine and being married to Cammy, the girl from the deleted scene, and all this weird stuff. And this is apparently what Luke dreams about the whole time he's on his little island with his sea cow.
And his
That's what that green milk will do to you.
His nunneries. That's
Yeah.
stupid. What else happened in the novel?
Well, everybody's like, "Oh, Luke's wife," and people were mad because it wasn't Mara Jade from the book. So,
Oh,
anyhow,
is Luke actually Rey's dad, and he had her through the force of his dreams?
oh, that would be a twist. Yeah.
And
Yeah,
midichlorians.
I could-
Ryan Johnson's
see
hurt
Ryan
is like
Johnson,
he is scribbling this down as quickly as he can.
2018. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, other Star Wars news, Aaron.
What else happened in the novel?
There are hints that Leia is not long for the world, that she is slowly dying from her little Mary Poppins episode in outer space. She does not fully recover from that, and she is going to kill her off.
One of the greatest scenes in Star Wars history.
I hope you're being
It's
sarcastic.
right up there with.
No, it was moving.
Sand is rough, not like you.
No, it was moving. I loved it.
shut
I
up.
loved
Yeah,
the
it
scene.
was right there when Harry Potter flew in from the
You're
broom.
lying through your teeth.
I'm not lying. I like the
my
scene. I thought it was a good
gosh.
scene.
Let me run my
kinda
face
like
into
it
the
too.
door.
I'm
So
gonna
is-
have to do I'm gonna do a whole podcast on why Last Jedi is a good movie.
And
We would like to
yes,
hear it.
Yeah, a whole podcast of you doing that. And
With us not
every
here.
time you make a point, we get to at least counterpoint it. I believe this part was a great scene. It involved Rose. Any scene involving Rose was awful.
So, yeah,
Speaking of
Aaron, I have.
Last Jedi, there was a deleted scene released this week that tried to justify Captain Phasma's scenes with Finn.
I never watched it, but you
I
can go ahead
watched
and
it.
spoil it for
I
me.
watched
It's
it.
fine.
It was amazing.
So, Tim, you want to walk us through what
No,
happened?
I want you to.
All right, so I'm trying to remember what happened in the movie. There's
So
like a scene where the floor collapses and Captain Phasma just falls and goes, "No," and that's what happens in the movie, right?
Yeah.
Something like it, yeah.
Yeah.
So in this one, Finn confronts her, and all these stormtroopers have their guns drawn. It's just Finn versus her, and Finn's like, "You're a what do you call her? A womp?
Whoop hog.
A whoop hog, or something? I don't know." But he said that you are the one who got the base destroyed in Force Awakens. That you know, we pulled a gun on you and you cried like a baby and gave away all the secrets.
And so while he's saying this, and she's kind of like realizing it, all the stormtroopers surrounding her, all the stormtroopers that are supposed
start
to be
glancing at each other.
are supposed to be loyal to her, for somehow suddenly believe Finn, and they're kind of like looking at each other, questioning each other, like, did that really happen? Is that what happened? And so
So
she's
then Captain Phasma slowly shoots every one of them, very slowly, oddly
He's like,
edited.
eight of them, and she's just like, pow, 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 and they're all just like, ooh.
They'll just stand there and die from
And,
it.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
And then he takes
he
the
blasts her in the face and knocks out her.
And she goes off the
eyepiece
cliff.
or something, and then she runs at him, and then he blasts her. She goes flying like a Wile E. Coyote cartoon.
off the cliff, just like she did in the
Yeah.
other one. Yeah. So,
So the more and more I hear about this film, the more I'm disappointed, and that's saying a lot because I was already disappointed. John, counterpoint.
Sounds like a masterpiece.
John's got a tear
It's the
rolling.
best film Disney
John's
ever
got a
made.
tear going down his cheek
I
right
do.
now.
Would the movie be better with that scene put back in?
I
I would say something, but I can't use that language.
I think the scene that you're talking about was proved its point fine. I see no reason to improve on something that can't be improved upon.
John,
This
was
is awesome.
Captain
You-
Phasma really a whoop rat though?
Well,
Say
no,
whoop rat or hood rat?
no,
No.
I don't think she was. I don't think she was that. I think that she was an extraordinary character, and maybe a
How do
little
you
bit,
say that with a straight face.
maybe
He's so good at it.
maybe
That's awesome.
somewhat overused in these movies, but
She's got what 10 minutes
Okay.
of screen time
So-
in 2 movies.
well, you know,
Oh,
they-
whoop hog,
Aren't
not a
you-
whoop rat, Aaron. A whoop
Oh,
hog.
whoop hog. I'm
as
sorry.
the
Whoop hog.
as the
Isn't
last
that what Arkansas says at games? Like whoop hog.
No, they say pig suey.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so
I think.
wow.
Hang on, I'm not done yet.
Oh, okay,
Done.
sorry, John. Go ahead and tell us.
I believe as the
Last Jedi
as
apologist.
the Last Jedi apologist in the room, that
That's even funny.
it's that scene and the scene with the space rabbits should possibly
the racing rabbits? Or
Yeah, the racing
silver
rabbits.
Foxes? Okay.
No, those are the crystal
the-
critters.
The racing, the horse rabbits.
Yeah, the horse rabbits.
horse
I think those scenes should be right up there with the scene in Return of the Jedi where Darth Vader and Luke are fighting the iconic scene where they're fighting on the Death Star.
I agree.
I think
Not
they
at all.
should be right.
You know
there
what we
with
should
that.
do? We should have you recreate the shirtless Kylo Ren scene.
I'll do it.
Black pants pulled
Play
up
both parts.
past your
Yeah.
belly
Sit on the
button.
couch. Hello.
I'm moving.
John dressed as Ray, talking to John with the shirt on.
So
Oh,
now that we've discussed John's favorite movie of all time, I have a question for
Well,
each
like
one of
second
you
or
all.
third.
Well,
oh.
I have a question for each of you all. Last night I was my Wi-Fi went out, and so instead of being patient and waiting for it to come back up after I reset it, I just threw in a DVD. I grabbed.
I thought you were going to ask me like a technical question about looking at your Wi-Fi.
No.
I don't know.
So
Did you
Turn it off
power
and
down the booth?
I turned it back
Power
off
down
and
the
turned it back on again.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I
Unplug
just
it.
threw in a film to watch because I was watching Jessica Jones on Netflix and it crapped out. So I picked up a movie off my bookshelf, and it was Dread, which is one of my all-time favorite cheesy movies. I mean, it's not cheesy, but it's not going to change the world type film. What is the movie that if you have now? I know that all of you being parents and having real lives. Don't really have a lot of free time, but if you are sitting there at home and you're like, I just want to watch a movie, something I can put in the background and enjoy, and I'm looking for not the obvious answers. Of course, we're all going to say, well, everybody but John's going to say Empire Strikes Back. He'll say The Last Jedi.
It hasn't come out yet.
But a movie
It
that you just
Tuesday.
can watch over and over again and never get tired of watching. Brian, let's start with you first because we have to do Tim last because he doesn't know.
Well, I kind of have three. So
Hey, 3's great.
Thor Ragnarok,
Good.
Spectre, the James Bond film, or any
Really?
of the
Spectre?
Jurassic Park, Jurassic World movies.
Except for part 2.
I can even watch that.
So what?
I would be like, John, Tim, that's actually a very good movie when you get down to the basics of what it's about.
Is Spectre the one where...
Spectre's the one with the Day of the Dead scenes at the beginning. Mexico.
It's the
Yeah.
one where James Bond gets that cool car and those
Is
cool
Spectre
gadgets.
with the bad guys Javier
Bardem, yes.
Yeah, okay.
John, what about you?
It just goes in
Um,
the background.
That's true. Casino Royale for me. On that.
That's a good one, too.
John, you
I
want
would-
to come back to you, or you got?
yeah, come back to me because I'm trying to think about it.
Because I'm a
Aaron,
movie
what
snob.
about you? What's a couple of your go-to films to watch?
Austin Powers?
Is Cold Dog Soup one of them?
I haven't seen Cold Dog Soup in a long time, but usually it's just if I'm flipping channels and if it's on, I'll stop and watch it, and I'd say like Fifth Element or Highlander.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
usually like the same part of Highlander where it's like Ramirez and Kurgan having their fight and all that. And then probably like Kung Fu Hustle.
Oh yeah.
Everything always comes back to Kung Fu Hustle with you.
Well, I mean, I'm kind of the same way. Mine are Dread, Starship Troopers, and RoboCop. So,
Starship Troopers is such a good movie.
Tim, what
Not
you got?
really. Starship Troopers would be a one. Scott Pilgrim is on my DVR. I watch it a lot.
Do you watch it from start to finish, or are there specific scenes that you have to watch?
No, I don't. I'll just watch it, and wherever I stop, I'll just pick it back up there again sometime. It's not like I have to fast forward to a certain scene. I really enjoy.
I will listen to or watch the clip on YouTube of the song Threshold, where they're against the DJs. I'll watch that at least once a week. I don't
Oh,
know
yeah.
why that specific scene is
And
my
Scott
favorite in the
Pilgrim?
film, but yeah,
Yeah,
where they're
it's a good
we're
one.
here we're Sex with Bomb. We're here to talk about death and make you sad and stuff. Yeah,
Yeah. It's just I just find the movie so witty and clever. It's just one that I always go back to. I think Thor Ragnarok's going to be one for me
Yeah,
once
it
I
is.
get it.
It is.
Maybe Guardians 2 just to see Baby Groot.
Son of Groot. John, what about you?
He's still a baby Groot.
I would say that the ones that I'd like to go back to are because when we go to the farm, we don't have Wi-Fi, so we have to take the mini DVD player with us. So that's the ones I always like to go to is Mystery Men,
Yes.
Equilibrium, and Rain of Fire.
And
All good films.
And Ant-Man.
And
and
and sometimes I'll even break out 13th Warrior.
Oh yeah.
I like
Good
that.
movie.
What, Aaron?
I thought of another one. Anytime it's on Back to the Future trilogy, no matter which movie it is, you sit down and start watching it.
That's still excellent as well. All right, Tim, you got a would you rather for us?
Oh, I do.
I saw you
I
playing with
mean,
the cards.
not offhand, but I will in a matter of moments.
You had a card in your hand less than 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, it doesn't mean anything at all.
This
But
is true.
I had a thought about time traveling earlier, about how when you travel through time, you're actually aging, and then you come back to reality at your old past age, but you've actually aged the number of days you've been gone, and so you're truly not the same age you were when you left.
That is a deep thought, Tim.
Yeah, that's probably the way it would actually happen.
Yeah. Okay. Would you rather? Would you rather spend 6 hours lying in a gutter on a side of the street, letting the water splash over you, or have to spend the day sitting in the bottom of a public trash can on a city street, having people drop garbage on you all day long? What in the world?
I'm going to go with.
No, I got a better one.
Yes, thank you.
Hey, can we go back to your time travel thing real quick?
Yeah.
I'm gonna blow your mind, Tim. Right?
Oh yeah.
Let's say you travel in time and you spend 6 days in the future, and then you come back to the moment you left. So does that mean you have to move your birthday like 6 days later now, or 6 days earlier?
Well, I think when you go back to regular reality, you would assume your regular reality age and just go on with it. But if you time traveled a lot, it would eventually catch up with you, and you would
You lost 6 days in the future, though, so now you're 6 days older when you got back. So now does your birthday have to move?
I'm agreeing with you up to the point that your birthday doesn't move. I mean, your birthday is still your birthday.
It's not Easter.
Now, if you go back in time
Yeah.
and convince your parents to conceive you 6 days before,
Oh,
then you have
God.
to
Well,
change your
then
birth. I mean, if we're going,
wait, no,
Hi,
wait.
Mom. Hi, Dad.
Then it's not. Then it's not you,
It wouldn't
Right.
be you.
because
I'm just going with the line
Charlie,
of logic.
let me
A
explain.
different swimmer made it.
Oh wow!
That's exactly. I mean, unless you convince your mom to have a C-section 6 days earlier, then it offsets
there you go.
everything. So that's what happens every time you go. The days you're gone, you have to then go back in time and convince
Okay,
your mom
but-
to have you that much
but-
earlier. to
Or do you
offset the days.
you take the quantum leap theory to where you can only travel back in time within your own lifetime?
Oh boy.
Because if you went too far back, you wouldn't exist.
What in the world?
Thank you.
Yeah, Charlie.
Thank you, everybody. Oh,
Okay, so,
Okay, here's my
when you
About
mentioned
to fall
time
asleep out
traveling,
here.
time
Charlie,
travel.
real quickly, when you mentioned time traveling, last
It
night
made you want to play a cat sound?
Yes, well, it made me,
Every time I hear time travel, I think of a shrieking cat.
yes. So there was a preview on Dread for the movie Looper. I totally forgot that existed.
Looper's a great movie.
I'm like, what is this movie with Bruce Willis and somebody with a weird Bruce Willis?
I had a
face?
lot of problems with Looper at the time,
It
though.
looks like it's really a problematic film, but I'm like, and I was like, oh yeah, this was really a thing.
That was a
actually
good. That's a
happened.
good time traveling movie.
I don't.
I'm sorry, are we still filming here?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
Dang, Brian. Brian, do you have any thoughts on time
Brian,
travel?
I'm about to pass out over here.
I've been-
wow.
from boredom.
I've been watching the.
America's Dumbest Criminals.
Wow.
Okay,
You
like
and
I'd rather be
John.
upstairs with the vomit.
We're on the couch.
Would you
Okay.
rather?
Would you rather have 10 working tongues on your hands
Uh-oh.
Okay.
instead of your fingers, or would you or have toes on your hands?
All right, thanks for joining us for Five
Do you
Live
want
Bears.
10 tongues?
See you later,
instead of
players.
fingers, or
We're
do you want
done.
10
Sorry, Brett.
toes?
Spider.
John?
You know, I'd rather have 10 tongues.
Sorry.
That's awesome.
Are we
All right.
done?
Yes, we're done.
Yeah, thank you for listening on SoundCloud,
Dang.
YouTube.
But 10 tongues, John.
Anticipate
Explain. What?
everything.
Well, there was this kid at camp who.
Reply on our blog.
I mean, you would
Thanks.
taste everything if you
Have
had
a
10
nice day.
tongues on your. I mean,
That's episode 6.